Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
All right, excited to be back and obviously in another game week, an opportunity to play at home again. But reflecting on last Saturday, I think first, pleased with the effort, pleased with the focus right from the get-go. We knew that Northern Colorado brought some talent here certainly, and at the same time hadn't won, but was very, very dangerous if you allow them to be. And by and large, through that first half, I think we did things in all three phases to open up a lead. I did think Northern Colorado kept fighting all the way through. I think defensively they did pose some challenges for us for sure. I know we talked about it. We were able to hit some explosives in the pass game, and I think that was a reflection of what they were doing to us in the run game. And ultimately, it worked out pretty well that we had balanced numbers defensively. I think made it really hard for them for a good stretch of the game, and put pressure on the quarterback. Really limited their run game. I know they made some plays as the game went along, but ultimately pleased with the effort that the first group had. And then, I think the twos and threes that got in there, in particular in that fourth quarter, pleased with what they did. And I know that group has gotten ample time midway through the season. I think their improvement has definitely showed up. On the injury front, I know Blake Schmidt didn't play on Saturday. He sustained an injury at the end of the Idaho State game. We didn't know exactly what the severity was, but Blake will be out for the season, unfortunately, with an knee injury. We really feel bad for Blake. Blake had put a lot of hard work into his entire career, but your pinnacle is your senior year, and ultimately, it was meant to be done down in Pocatello, I guess. But do appreciate all that Blake has done and will continue to do. Blake is continued to take on a leadership role, and it'll be important that he does continue to do that. A few things out of the game on Saturday, the Northern Colorado game, that we're still kind of working through, but ultimately I think we're in a pretty good place. It appears that Drew Polidor will be good to go this week, which will be a boost defensively. And you're kind of at that midseason point, so you're bound to have some things here and there pop up. With our opponent this week, obviously Idaho is off to a really good start, 4-2. They've played a challenging schedule to this point. They've found ways to win. They found ways to hang on a couple times as teams have made second half surges. In particular this past Saturday, as Northern Arizona, had the ball with a chance to do something at the end of the game to change the outcome, but they held them there. I know they've dealt with injuries of their own, playing three quarterbacks at this point. I know Wagner and Joseph Eck are both playing the way it looks right now, and they're both doing a good job. I know they're the 2 and 3 coming into the season, but I think they've both stepped in and allowed their offense to continue to move. They got a couple running backs, I think, that really do a good job complementing one another. And then receiver-wise, Jordan Dwyer has emerged as their top guy. But I think when you look at them, I think their offensive line has continued to improve. They were really young as you look back a couple years back, and that group has continued to grow up and gain experience and get bigger and stronger. So, I think that's definitely a strength of theirs on the offensive side. Defensively, I think you just look at their numbers. They're giving up less than 20 points a game, less than 100 yards rushing per game. I think they have 19 sacks. So they've made it really hard on opposing offenses to run the ball first. But then, when they've gotten in those passing situations, they've really been able to get after the quarterback. Keyshawn James Newby in particular, I think he's got 8 sacks to this point. So he's been an absolute menace on third down in particular. And I think what you see on defense is they just they fly to the football. They're very principled. They're generally in the right place, and they play with great effort. So I think they're a team overall that has the right attitude. I think they play the game the right way. They're well coached. They don't put themselves in bad positions. They play complementary football, and it's going to take a really good effort for us on Saturday. And we're looking forward to playing at night, playing on ESPN2. I know we had 22,000 plus at this past game, but ultimately we need 22,000 plus that's in it for the long haul. I know we've had 3 games at home where we've been up at halftime considerably, but we need our fans to be in it and make a difference come Saturday. And I urge them all to be there, the students, the fans alike, to really understand that they can make an impact on Saturday night and be a real catalyst for us. So with that, I'll open up for questions. Again, excited for this week and excited for the opportunity coming on Saturday.
$10 went down in that game.
Yeah, I'd say he's being evaluated through today. I'd say doubtful is where he would be at. So with Caden going down and Drew coming back, Taki Louis-Kepa in the mix at free safety, I guess that timing, it works out in that way, I guess, for this week. I don't know that Drew's in position to take all the reps by any means. So Taki continuing to come along at that spot has been important.
That the experience with Blake, standing up without back to Europe. How did that work?
Yeah, I think I an injury like his, an ACL injury, that's the way you can be. You can walk around and be fine, but ultimately you need to have it operated on versus going out there and risking any further damage. Yeah, and nose guard. Paul Brott would be the starter, obviously, and then I know the way we played it this past week. Hunter Charbonneau got some run, and he would probably be the next guy. And Talon Marsh got himself in there. A.D. Chinupo, a true freshman, played as well. So I think we're still working through, what that looks like behind Paul, with Alec and Zach still playing the defensive tackle position.
I guess speaking of that, not especially on the interior, it's just kind of like the wide season.
Well, until Blake went down, I think the first thing that made an impression is that we were playing 8 guys, and they were all playing pretty equal, and they were all, in their own right being effective. With a guy like Blake, who's really been a mainstay for us going down, that does puncture that a little bit. But that's where those young guys, or a combination of any one of those 3 has to step up. But I think we've been consistent. We haven't been perfect by any means. I think that group, defines what unselfish looks like on our team, because I don't think Brody's got some stats, but ultimately that group doesn't have a ton of stats necessarily. But we've been able to stop the run because of their efforts. We've been able to put pressure on really all the passers we've seen because of that group. So been really pleased with them. But I think, if you asked Coach Howe, Coach Bapp, I would think they feel like we were just scratching the surface too. So they need to keep coming. Obviously, as these games continue to stack up, the season stacks up on you. That depth, that durability that we need in that group needs to continue to show up.
I guess after what happened last year, most studies, how much, Vegas prep or whatever it is, how much you weighed last year you made?
Well, I think you look at that game certainly from the schematics of it all. We're into our 7th game, and this is the first game that we've seen a same opponent with the same head coach. I know we played Utah Tech, but it was a different head coach. So they did change defensive coordinators, but I think schematically they're much in the same ballpark. So I think you just look at that. Okay, how did they choose to play us? / attack us last year? Where did that cause us some problems? Where did where do we have some things that worked out? And so I think you definitely look at that. I think more than anything, we know they're a program that isn't at the top of our league. and a program that's been very consistent now with their efforts week in, week out over the past couple of years. So I think they have our full respect as far as that goes, and I think we know we need to play well to get on the right side of that outcome. So definitely take into consideration last year for obvious reasons, and also take a good look at their schedule this year.
You mentioned in-depth, and the complex understanding of the dialects, not so much. You talked about that, the strength of his complex that you get the line out in that.
Yeah, I think that's just it. The latter half has to play out. I know we were just a couple weeks into conference season, and ultimately the nature of a conference season and the 8 games you play, it'll all sort itself out. I think relative to where our conference does stand nationally, I think we're as deep a conference as any. Ultimately, who's going to rise to the top, I think will play out on the field by and large over the next 6-7 weeks. So I know our opportunities to continue to prove ourselves within the conference and nationally will continue to be there for us on a weekly basis now. And I think the same goes for everybody. Having 7 teams in the conversation right now is, I suppose, great. 7 teams at the end of the grind won't be the way it will be. So you got to be ready to go every week.
Now let's start at the gate where to Joel Idaho's this weekend. Help Iowa and to gift rusher to Idaho for guys.
Yeah, I think relative to how we need to do things offensively, we got to be good on first down. We got off to a really poor start last year. We went 3 and out our first 3 series, and that was certainly some credit goes to Idaho. Some is that just our inability to execute initially. So the ability to move the ball both on the ground and through the air on first down will be really important. And then how do we follow that up on second down? To limit those third down opportunities, certainly limit the third longs, and that's when they've been really dangerous defensively and been able to get after most every team with pressure on those situations. And then you flip it around, it's really the same formula. We got to be able to slow them first and second down and get these younger quarterbacks in passing situations. When their passing game plays off of their run game, play action wise, they are dangerous, really dangerous down the field. They've been able to make plays down the field over and over again, get guys open on regular downs, first and second down. So getting them into those passing situations. So, how does the first down production efficiency balance out between both teams, I think will be really critical. Certainly who is able to run the ball more effectively, I think will be a big factor in a game like this. I mentioned they're not giving up over 100 yards average right now, and I think we're just over 300. Well, that game like this, something has to give. It doesn't mean we need to rush for 300, but we can't rush for 93 or whatever they're giving up. I know that. So, that all starts with line of scrimmage play. It all comes back to that. So I do think we match up well, but I do think they're the best combination of offensive defensive line that we've faced to this point. I don't have any doubt in that, and it'd be a big challenge for both of our fronts.
Is it will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
That point, obviously they returned a lot on those both lines, but then lost some in skill positions. So how does that kind of, I guess, what kind of unique challenge is that to go up against a team that has some experience, but also some?
Yeah, I think what appears to me is they've been able to plug the next guy in a lot of positions. They did lose some, I think, high-profile guys, and I suppose you would start a quarterback. McCoy had been a really good player in our league, and then they've had the challenges they've had playing all 3 guys. They're probably not the same as far as what they can put on their quarterback. I think receiver wise, while they lost a couple guys, they got some good guys they've returned. Running back wise, maybe not the same individual, but a couple really good players there. Defensively, I think what they've been able to do to fill in at a couple spots, you don't really. I think you see an improved defense, and that's the nature of it. You're one more year along with your program, Coach X program, and you've recruited well and you've developed guys, and some guys leave and you put the next guys in and allow those guys up front to continue to get bigger and stronger. That group looks different, and in the back end it looks similar. So. They've done a good job of recruiting and developing. I think that's apparent, and they've withstood what appeared to be a lot of loss through the transfer portal in particular. So, kudos to them in that regard, and we got to go out and play them and see how how we fare come Saturday.
Yeah, you mentioned that the quarterback's apparent to those guys. Is that if Lane has any chance to play, it just those other two that.
Well, it would appear based on just timing that he doesn't. Broken collarbone that goes back. He'd have to be on a really fast track to be back. I think he can get back eventually. And then where they're at with Wagner and Josefak, they played them both. It appeared to be deliberately last week, where the previous week Wagner went out and Josefak came in. So, maybe it's just a deal where. That Josefak has come along far enough. They feel like they can play them both. They should play them both. We'll see. They're similar enough, I suppose, in what they are capable of doing. It's not like you have two extremes as far as styles. Their offense doesn't change a whole lot, and that's a good thing for them. I mean, that they don't have to live in these two different worlds with these quarterbacks when you're looking at their second and third guys. So, we'll have to. Play who's ever out there under center. And, I think if we go through the week and we maybe see some tendencies, play to them, but a couple days into it, it doesn't appear like they're drastically different.
Coulter, do you have anything? Can you hear me okay?
Gotcha, yes.
I know you talked about defensive balance, especially up front. What do you think it is that they do with their defensive line that makes them hard to deal with?
Well, they got good players, first of all. They're intentional about playing 8 guys, rolling them almost like clockwork. I know they have situational packages maybe in how they use their guys. So not all that different than maybe how we fashion our front. It's a group that if they need to move, they can, but they don't necessarily need to move to create havoc, I guess. Certainly their ability to get a couple guys in one-on-one matchups, James Newby, Afalava, they come to mind in particular, that they can be real challenges for whether it's a guard or a tackle blocking either one of those guys in one-on-ones. And it doesn't end with those guys either. I mean, I think they have a good group. They have depth. They keep the guys fresh. And they, when it's time, they can really cause some problems.
When it comes up to a new coordinator, does the scheme work much different, a little bit different? How much different than what difference is the
I don't think it's much different. Coach Jackson had coached with Coach Eck back at South Dakota State. I think their familiarity, even though Jason's coaching on offense and Dan was a defensive coach, I think what they did initially in Coach Eck's first couple years was born out of what they were doing at South Dakota State. So I think it's a continuation more than anything. I think they have definitely become, more creative with that front, moving guys around, maybe in particular. So not all that different, but I guess at the same time, how they might show up and play us on Saturday could could have a bunch of different wrinkles too. I do think that. I think we become this different opponent than most teams, and every Saturday I think we come to the ballpark and we get a little bit different defense than we see on film. So I wouldn't be surprised if they throw us some different wrinkles.
You mentioned Hunter Charbonneau. That's another fact you get. It's sort of worked his way into the rotation out of, so where could him grow? And it seems like that might be one of the harder spots to get off sort of the young guy period, let alone that yourself for late fast football.
Yeah, Hunter, unfortunately, last fall missed a good stretch of time. So that set him back, and at the same time, he was able to, I think, focus on lower body strength and, some weight gain through the fall. I think had a spring where, he definitely, I think, was gaining confidence while he put on, I think, enough weight to get himself in the conversation of playing inside. And I think to this point right now, the game experience and what it takes to play consistently in the game has probably, it's still a work in progress. He's got the ability, he's got the size, he's a naturally strong guy, but he's put on some good strength since he's been here, works hard, is very diligent. But we need to continue to see that growth. And I think, we got a bunch of those second-year guys that are in the mix, and Hunter now added to that group where, all right, let's ideally see them continue to blossom as we go through the next month and a half. And we need it out of Hunter, and there's no reason that it can't happen.
I think the add a really talented guy like Drew Baldwin back to the mix is big time in terms of his skill set. But the fact that he had such great cohesion defensively, how do you hope he sort of slides in picture as the return go on?
Well, I think I hope for Drew there's been appreciation when you're out, and I think Drew played really well at times last year. Was kind of in and out with a few different things, but was really playing, generally speaking, at a high level. And you get that taken away from you, that opportunity. He was having a good spring when he went down. He's been able to be out there now, really. This going on his third week and just taking on a little bit more each and every day. I think communication, that's the first thing you think about. Those guys on the back end need to communicate, but it's not like Drew is new to that role. And he's played with Ryland, he's played with Miles. I think so. The collection of those three, you feel good about. And what I've seen, I think he's in a good place with, working through his movement the last 3 weeks. And Drew plays with a level of confidence that you need, albeit now he's been out for a while. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a work in progress. But I think the fact that he's been out there with those guys on that field, he's played that position, I think we'll feel good about the way the cohesion part looks. And he's a pretty diligent guy as far as, knowing his assignment and having good eyes and those type of things. In that position, you got to be athletic, certainly, but you have to be smart, experienced, trust the other guys around you. And, Drew needs to do all that, because he does not need to make all the plays. He needs to do his job and when called upon, put the ball down on the ground, and when the ball's in the air, knock it down.
Last one for me. How would you evaluate for Tommy that year halfway through the senior year? What have you liked and what do you think he has for this so good?
Well, I think you look at where he's at statistically. I think we feel really good about his completion percentage, touchdown, interception. I think this last game, being able to connect downfield a few times, I think that was missing. So I think he's making good decisions, not only as he's dropping back and going through reads and all that, but I think he's by and large, he's playing really smart football, and there's going to be points in time when he needs to run. He made a couple, scrambles in that first half that extended one drive in particular, that's going to be a piece to what is unscripted about his game. His running touchdown was a read play where his speed really, shows up, and those plays are going to be there. And obviously his ability to make throws, make the right decisions, I think is there. And I know midway through, pleased, but I think what's going to happen is he's going to be put in more big moments. You look at our 6 games, he's been really put in one big moment as far as a fourth quarter goes. And I think he definitely passed the test down in Albuquerque. It's a long time ago. And, when those moments come up, second halves of games, tight games, all that stuff, I think that's really what separates, great quarterback play from good quarterback play. And, I'm very thankful we have Tommy, and I, would expect him to shine in those moments. So excited for what he's done at this point, and I know there's going to be more out there for him.
There's always a party in Montana, whether you're going to a wedding, a football game, a concert. Montana Party Bus can get you there safe and will take you anywhere in Montana. You can relax with friends in style, luxury, and safety. Western Montana based for local and regional travel within Montana borders. Montana Party Bus is great for both large and small groups with a capacity of up to 30 guests. If you want to elevate your event, call them anytime, 406-200-8096. You can also visit mtpartybus.com. Travel anywhere in Montana in style with the Montana Party Bus.